Got it. Hey, my awesome friends. Welcome back once again to the worldwide broadcast of the Ted and Austin Broer Show, bringing you the latest world news and health research. Hope you guys are having an awesome Wednesday, a middle of your week run up on the news and health articles that are going on today. I got a lot of specials for you guys as far as different topics we're going to be covering today. A couple of them on gut health, also too on children's health. Again, I cover that a lot, but I feel like it's a topic that needs to get discussed. And also a few other things with some of the new specials we have running in, and also another one on here. I'm going to go into detail about employees fired for refusing flu vaccines who now seek arbitration. This is going to be an interesting topic on this now as far as the court ruling.
Trying to force them to do flu vaccines?
No, the hospital was, and the courts are ruling that no, it's illegal. You can't do this.
Of course it's illegal.
You can't afford it. Yeah, well, it's always been illegal.
Well, not until the Nuremberg trials it wasn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, as far as in recent times, and that was kind of the compromise with the whole, thing that happened in 2020. You had government agencies forcing public agencies and business, companies to tell people they had to get an experimental shot, and that was the part that was the most disturbing factor of it. Was it wasn't even like it was a long-term, long-tested program with the RNA shot. The thing was DARPA, basically R&D studies they did back in 2012 and 2018, and they rolled out the tech with a 3-month trial and told everybody, you have to get this or else. If you wanted to get something like that, that's completely your choice. But at no point at all does the government ever have the right to tell you you have to have experiments done on you against your will or you're going to be terminated. And that's why it's been ruled so many times heavily, and basically a lot of the favor of the individuals that were terminated from it. So a lot of stuff we're going to cover today on here. And also, too, be sure to check out the multi-packs online. We're going to be adding some more kits to that this week and next week going on. And also, y'all voted and it won. It'll be changing later on this afternoon, as you guys always know. The ultimate multiple powder, the one and only, Mr. Broer's favorite. It won by a landslide. I can't even try to make that win.
Well, that's the capsule right there, though.
Well, no. The votes to the right here.
Oh.
The capsule didn't change yet. I'll be swapping over this afternoon.
Okay.
So 94 votes, almost 70% were the ultimate powder.
Well, of course they are.
So I listen to you guys. I don't mess with this as far as manipulate numbers on it. It's an open poll, and whatever wins, wins. So you guys enjoy that later on this afternoon.
Well, sad news, a little bit of sad news. Danny Glover, who I know, I met him at an airport years ago when they were doing Operation Dumbo Drop with Disney when they actually had a decent movie.
Yeah.
And, the guy who played in, Lonesome Dove.
Yeah.
Probably the greatest Western series ever done, by the way. That was Robert Duvall, and it was unbelievable. Tommy Lee Jones is just probably the best Western series. Well, no, it's not probably. It is the best Western series ever done. It's amazing how good that program was, that movie was. In fact, Robert Duvall, after he did that movie, goes, well, I could retire now. It can't get any better than this.
Yeah.
And he was right. It's that good. But you get it on high def. They've got a bunch of Bobo knockoff copies on DVD. You barely see it. It's kind of fuzzy. Make sure you get the high def one, the Blu-ray. Very good movie. Danny Glover's now been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease.
That's rough.
And I feel bad for him. I really do. But the thing is, with Alzheimer's disease, you got to be careful with aluminum. Every time they do these autopsies in these guys with Alzheimer's disease, and the vast majority of the time, they have high levels of aluminum in the brain, and it's causing all problems. Remember, aluminum is a conductant. It conducts electricity. And so when you have that stuff getting into your brain, it starts short-circuiting the brain pattern as far as the brain works off biochemical electricity. And so it can't work properly if you have heavy metals in it like aluminum. And, of course, the problem with that is all the chemtrails they spray on us. Because it goes right through the olfaction system, putting Dr. Blaylock into the brain.
Stay away from aluminum deodorant. I can't reiterate that anymore.
There's two things that we really push hard. I mean, all the time.
As far as two topics,
toothpaste
yep.
and deodorant. And you think, well, why? Well, aluminum deodorant has been shown to massively increase the risk of breast cancer.
Well, and here's the issue with
both. Alzheimer's disease.
Yeah, with the fluoride toothpaste and the aluminum deodorant. If you used it one time, is it going to have probably a significant long-term effect on you? No, it's the fact that you use it every single day without thinking about it, and a lot of times you use it multiple times a day, and you're applying this aluminum going right into your lymphatic system. I mean, right, it's a very porous area. The aluminum goes there to block the sweat pores, but it also goes into your tissue and into your lymphatic system, and it's done day after day, month after month, year after year, decade after decade, and then people are like, I can't believe this is going on.
Well, the aluminum chlorohydrate has been shown to be basically, they find aluminum in the breast tissue of cancer patients, breast cancer patients. Repeatedly. And so it's don't do it. And you think, well, I don't want to buy you a deodorant. Stop. Just stop. Then buy somebody else's deodorant without aluminum in it. Whatever. Ours uses magnesium chloride. I ain't going to buy you a toothpaste. Whatever, man. Just buy toothpaste without aluminum in it.
Or fluoride in it.
Or fluoride, yeah. You know, the crazy part about it, I don't understand the concept. I mean, we watch a show every day and you make us mad.
You got to remember, though, there's some people out there, they just like having a reason to stay pissed off. They do. They have to have something to make them mad every day. So they watch our show, and we can make them mad every day.
But every time then they send you a nasty email. And
I just delete those.
Well, and invariably, every time, and literally, this is 99.99% of the time, they've never bought anything to support the show. As far as Health Masters, have never made a contribution to the show. And so I just laugh. I mean, let me ask you a question. Why in the world, if somebody doesn't care enough to support the show and all they want to do is criticize the show, would I listen to anything they have to say?
Or take any advice.
No, I'm not. I'm being serious now. What would if you've got somebody who claims to be your friend, but every time you ever need them, they're never around? Last night we had an emergency in the neighborhood.
I know.
We had lights and ambulances and fire trucks. You had EMTs at the neighbor's house, and I'm sitting in the hot tub, right? And I'm watching this go on. I mean, my head just froze, and they're gone. I get to watch the lights, and I'm like, this is great. And I thought to myself, I know these people. I know them very, very well. And I thought, I need to go over there and check this out. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that guy. Well, we've got this text thing it's like a hotline thing all the way through the neighborhood. Yeah, I know. It's like telegraph, telephone, tell everybody in the neighborhood what's going on. We have an intruder. Intruder alert, everybody knows. And so I texted myself. I said, hey, something's going on at the Null's house. Is everything okay over there? Is there anything we can do for them?
Yeah.
That's what I sent out. And within a couple of minutes, I got a text back from the neighbors, and they said, "Oh no, we had a friend over here became unresponsive. And luckily, their son's a doctor, and he was there.
Okay,
and they took him to the hospital. And the crazy part about it is that how many neighborhoods are like that? And we have that here. It's like we're concerned about each other. Okay, we have a security breach at the gate over here. Somebody's trying to get in. Somebody did this. Somebody did that. We tell everybody.
Oh, yeah. I had that one guy was trying to break into your gate, remember? I got him on camera. I said to everybody, I said, you guys know this guy? I said he tried to basically break into the compound at 6 a.m. It was quickly, let's leave it there.
Yeah, he's not an issue any longer. And the thing about it is that we've learned very, very quickly that that's the way it needs to be with neighborhood watch. People need to really take it paid. Well, you need to, if you don't know who your next door neighbor is, do me a favor. Just go get an organic apple pie. You think I'm joking? I'm not. Go spend $10 or whatever for an organic apple pie and go cook the stupid thing and walk over and say, hi, I'm Joe. I want to meet you. I'm your neighbor. If you guys ever have an issue, let me know.
You're not wrong.
No.
That's old school.
Yeah.
That means you actually have to have a conversation with somebody.
Face to face.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I can't just text them or put it on social media.
This is a funny story. 2 houses over, we had this lady living there, and they had a break-in in the neighborhood, in her house, and they stole a big screen TV. It was a minority guy. Ran like a jackrabbit. He would do high hurdles, I mean, it was unbelievable. We were holding a TV set, running, And I went over to her house after that happened. The cops were everywhere. And I told her, I said, hey, look, I'm 2 doors over. And here's the funny part. I knew this woman from high school, and she's unbelievably mean. Now, listen to this. This is a funny story. I remember her sister was really nice, and she was unbelievably mean. And I remember one time I had a big conflict with her in high school, Austin.
Did you really?
Oh, you would. I never
told me this.
No, and so she actually ended up saying some really ugly stuff for no reason at all in high school to me. I basically responded in kind, which I probably shouldn't have, and I never had a conversation with her. So here I am knocking on her door, years later, saying, "Hey, if you've got a problem, I know you're single over here. Here's my phone number. Call us up. We'll be here in 30 seconds. We'll be here a lot faster than the police are."
No, that is a fact.
And she looked at me kind of funny because she recognized me. I still look like my baby pictures. I had a lady come to my class reunion few years ago and said, "You're the only person that I recognize from the high school class." I said, "Well, thanks." And I said, I've taken care of myself. But the problem, and I don't think she lives there anymore. I think she moved.
Yeah.
But she was very nice that day when I talked to her. I don't think she wanted to mention about what she did in high school, but I know she remembered because I could tell by the look in her eye. But the point is, it doesn't really matter at this point, does it? Sometimes these high school conflicts and these conflicts that happen in grade school, they're never going to get resolved. You can't go back in time and fix this stuff and
move past stuff.
Just move past stuff. Austin's taught me that a long time ago. Sometimes you just got to stay away from stuff and leave it alone. You just need to stay away.
Here's some supplements that may actually, a specific supplement, especially that helps your body handle exercise in the heat when it's really hot. It's interesting. It says 2 new studies suggest that plant compounds like turmeric and probiotics may reduce heart rate, inflammation, and gut damage during hot weather exercise. This is a big deal down here in Florida, by the way. You don't even have to exercise out in Florida. Just walk outside for 30 minutes and you'll get a whole handful of heat in the face, which seems to be across the board right now, not just down here in Florida. It says new research suggests that certain dietary supplements can help out with athletes and active folks tolerate the burn of hot weather. 2 new studies shared at the 2026 American Physiology Summit main annual meeting. The American Physiology Society suggests that certain dietary supplements like turmeric here reduce, as far as when the body overheats, blood's directed from the stomach and intestines towards the skin and the muscles to help cool the body. That reduces blood flow to the gut, which can weaken its protective barrier. As a result, toxic bacteria can leak in the bloodstream, causing inflammation, increasing the risk of heart-related diseases. And it goes into detail here talking about turmeric and also probiotics. It says results were notable in the study. Participants' heart rates during exercises ran about 14 beats per minute lower than expected. They were running a 2-strain probiotic blend. This is the Bifidobacterium and the Lactobacillus one. Both of those are actually in all of our probiotic kits that we have. And they were widely available over the counter, and they were taken daily for 4 to 6 weeks before treadmill runs in hot conditions. So I thought it was an interesting study. I'll post it on the site, especially for you guys that like to go outside and run or exercise in the heat. Be very cautious doing that, especially down here in Florida in the middle of the afternoon. The humidity starts getting so high and the heat index starts getting so high, you could really start putting yourself into some serious
heat stroke.
Straight up.
Or heat exhaustion.
Heat exhaustion. So make sure your body's conditioned to handle that. You're drinking enough water and you know what you're doing with it. So that's an interesting thing with turmeric and probiotic. I found that interesting.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Epstein proved it's not justice, it's just us. I thought that was a pretty good play.
Well said.
It's just us, the rich. And they were talking about how he was basically given all this early parole stuff and had this. Well, you can read the article. I posted.
I read that article.
Yeah, I'm not going to talk
Dead
about
dies.
it. And then the guy kind of goes off the chain for a second. He starts saying stuff because apparently he got arrested and put in jail. And he goes, in the prisons, a jail full of bodies keeps the state and federal money flowing. You got to keep the money coming in. Empty beds means lost funding, and lost funding means a building full of people suddenly worried about their own mortgages because they may get fired, the guards. So the machine has one job, and it's not your safety, and it sure isn't justice. The job is occupancy. Charge you with 6 things so you plead to 1, scare you with the plea deal before the jury ever smells the case, slam it shut and roll the next body into the bunk, into the court, into the jail. I sat next to a man doing 5 and 6 years over things they should have had a fine on and had a bad Saturday. Men who pled because the lawyer paid to defend them, told them to, and did not know where their livestock was until the clock. That's hard to read. Until the lock click. The coloring book gulag. You would think that they would let you go after that. They do not. You have 4 more years of parole. And you make one mistake, don't show up one time, you're back in the slammer again. The jail is not free. The chair bills the tax person $5,000 to $10,000 a day.
Oh, yeah. It's a money-making industry, baby.
Per person, to color multiplied by 100 chairs in every room, then by every room in every country in every state. The man who owns the program does not care if one soul in there ever gets clean. A clean man is a refund. Recidivism is not the bug, it's the revenue. That's a really good article, Austin. And he's right. I remember one time, who was that one? Ted Nugent. And he was talking about the people who are constantly raping women and stuff like that. He goes, he said they're like a recidivism maggot. And they go back and do it over and over and over again. And he was right about that. There are a lot of people in there who basically don't ever change. And these people stay in prison all the time. But then there are also the people that have never done anything wrong. They make one mistake and they go to prison for 6 years. You think about it for a second. I have a person that I know who went to prison for 37 years for a white-collar Ponzi scheme. 37 years. There are people pushing fentanyl and heroin at 3 or 4 years. Yeah. And now I'm going to say something to you, and this is really important. be very careful if you choose a public defender.
Yeah.
You think, well, they'll defend me for free. Most of the time they won't. It's exactly what he just said. They'll push you into a plea bargain that you don't want because the jury will never hear the case. You get a really good attorney out there, he can make the person who's testifying against you look like a complete and total bobo.
That's a fact.
I mean,
including especially, and you got to remember this too, especially if you have law enforcement or you have these confidential informants that, by the way, are everywhere. I always
almost all of them are felons.
All of it. These confidential informants are a giant network that law enforcement uses, if you don't understand what that means. And they're people that essentially have gotten busted or charged for something, and now law enforcement uses them as snitches to go around and gather intel for them and then basically testify against people in other charges so they can keep their plea bargain down or keep their parole down. It's a really, 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 in my opinion, it's a rigged system. It really is, especially when you have the FBI that uses this. I mean, perfect example was Governor Whitmore up in Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
Where they brought this case against these guys that these
assassinator.
We're going to go, kidnapper, assassinator. And come to find out, 11 of the guys in the group were confidential informants, including multiple of them were actual FBI agents that planned the entire thing. And
the whole thing was staged.
You have these 3 or 4 other guys that got wrapped up with them that they're prosecuting, and they're going, dude, you have 3 times more confidential informants and FBI agents than you do basically defendants. Where's this going? At what point does this become straight entrapment because somebody was just at the wrong place at the wrong time with confidential informants?
You got a guy sitting out on the side of the street corner begging for money because he's starving to death because he's homeless. And you say, hey, would you like to have some shoulder-fired missiles? They've done this.
This really happened in New York.
And what do you mean? Well, we can get you a shoulder-fired missile. You can sell it, make some money on it. What's a shoulder-fired missile? Well, it's something maybe want to take down a civilian aircraft with.
It's a SAM. You just pull the trigger.
Just tell us you want to do this. We'll take care of it. We'll fix you up.
Yeah.
And now the guy goes, oh, how much money are we going to get? We'll give you $20.
Those 10 grand, I think.
Just show up here at this point right here and just take this box. The guy shows up, takes the box. I'll say, you're under arrest, fired. You're trying to get it. And the guy goes, what do you mean? I'm like mentally ill. What's wrong? I mean, is everything okay? I mean, I sit around playing cartoon games every day. Did I do something? And they're like, we got you. Don't you try to play like you're an idiot. We know what you did. You wanted to use a shoulder-fired missile. You go, what is that again? I don't know what that is. And that's what they do. And they do it over and over and over. It's called entrapment. And it's mind-boggling to me. That's exactly what happened with Whitmore. And you think, what? And I'm not exactly, I'm using a metaphor, but that's what they did. Oh, by the way, the largest U.S. power grid has decided that it wants to massively increase their rates they're charging to their customers. So they decided, I'm adding that, so they decided to declare an emergency to prevent blackouts. I took a class in utility management, and I had a really good professor who had written a really good book on economics, was the professor, and it was great. I was in graduate school. And here's the thing. When they have utilities, right, they have what they call spinning reserve on the utilities. In other words, if they have to produce 10 kilowatts, they'll spin 15 kilowatts. And so they have 5 kilowatts of reserve. So they don't have to worry about if they have a peak. They basically have the ability at that point to use the reserve. There's always spinning reserve in the technology and in this industry. In addition to that, they have other power lines that are connected to them from other utility management companies, which if they can't feed the grid properly with their spinning reserve, they just tie into the other spinning reserves and they basically use it that way. Now, the system is extremely antiquated. It's very, very subject to a basically electromagnetic pulse. It is. But the problem is that, it's all we have right now that's in place, but we'd rather go ahead and spend another $500 billion in attacking Iran for a little country with funny hats over in the Middle East. So we got to deal with all that. But guess what? Everybody's starting to talk about what happened with the USS Liberty in '67.
Oh, yeah.
Again, and now they're coming out with testimony again. You guys watched the video sacrificing liberty. So when these people do that, now they say, we're declaring an emergency to prevent blackouts. Oh, that means that we have to basically get more power from more surface places. So we have to have a rate increase. Oh, wait a minute. This is back to the eggs again, isn't it?
Yep.
It's back to eggs. It's back to fuel. It's back to diesel. It's what they always do. These guys with the little hats, they're the majority of the ones doing this. The speculators, they come in and go, oh, we're little hat people. We control the world. We control the prison industrial complex. We control the medical industrial complex. We control the military industrial complex. We control all of it. And we're the ones who decide what the prices are going to be because we're the ones the government has to feed because we run everything and we own the Federal Reserve Bank. And so we want a bunch of money. I think, Can you say that over slower? I don't think I can. Sorry.
Oh, I wanted to show you, guys. I don't make stuff up on the show. 4 arrested in New York terror plot. 3 of the 4 suspects are U.S. citizens. The 4th is a Haitian citizen. The FBI and other agencies use confidential informants to monitor their actions up to their arrest, including providing them with inactive missiles and inert explosives.
We don't make it up, guys.
They said they set them up to detonate explosives near a Jewish synagogue and use surface-to-air guided missiles to shoot military planes located at New York National Air Base. Of course, they were arrested, and the surface-to-air missiles were inert. The explosives were inert. Everything was inert. But they stopped the terror plot because, everybody's just got access to surface-air missiles. They would have definitely done it if they didn't have the FBI involved. Like, the stuff they come up with sometimes, and they're saying, oh, thank goodness the FBI was there to stop these guys because they were mentally deranged and they would have done this. Where were these guys, these homeless guys, planning on getting real surface-to-air missiles from if it wasn't from confidential informants in the FBI? That's the million-dollar question. Those aren't just normally laying around to go pick up on the side of the road. We're not in Afghanistan. Anyways, side note, another story here I want to cover. This is interesting, and it goes into detail on, where'd it go here? It says the problems with many popular breakfasts. This is finally a topic that's coming into discussion about children's breakfasts. They says many people, including kids, have light breakfasts because they want to lose weight and basically avoid feeling sluggish. The problem is a lot of times people are eating the wrong foods even though they want to eat something that's light. And it says the most popular breakfast, cereal and orange juice. Now, if you want to have absolutely horrific insulin spikes up and down and start your morning off bouncing up and down like a pinball machine with insulin, start your morning off with some sugary cereal and some orange juice. That just takes the cake. Is probably one of the worst things you can eat first thing in the morning. Virtually no protein, all sugar, all high processed, ultra processed foods in the cereal, and it's pretty much it says the result causes a rapid rise in blood sugar by an energy slump followed later on in the morning. I've told you guys that for decades. Stay away from that. It says the next one here is bagel with cream cheese. The large bagel contains a lot of carbohydrates, a little bit of fat from the cream cheese, virtually no protein. The combination does not provide any significant balance for lasting satiety. Better option is add eggs and or smoked salmon if you want to have a bagel in the morning. It says toast with butter and jam. You're better off eating that with eggs. They said toast, butter, jam is convenient, comforting. It's largely a carbohydrate-based meal without any protein. It leaves you hungry within a few hours. Add eggs onto it to make an egg sandwich. That's great.
Oh, my fried egg sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
With organic bread.
If you want some bread in the morning,
salt and pepper.
I'm not a big bread guy.
Soaked in butter. Oh, my gosh.
Egg and cheese. Egg and put some cheese on it.
Your mom, boy, she can make a fried egg sandwich. She's a Southern girl.
Oh, yeah.
She's called herself Grits Girl. Girls raised in the South. You guys would like that. And, man, she'd say, you want a fried egg sandwich? My answer was always, yeah. Always.
Always. Yeah.
Remember how she used to make those things? Oh,
now I want one. Thank you for that. I didn't have breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
I had a GHI and a Fit Food, and I got another Fit Food right here. I got some more eggs, though.
It ain't a fried egg sandwich.
Yeah, it's not fried. It's not, no. It's going to be disappointing when I make mine. Another one said on here, stay away from, is the typical bacon sausage hash brown breakfast. They said it's loaded high sodium.
Colon cancer, baby.
Saturated fat, processed meats. They says right here, frequent consumption of these have been associated with increased risk of cardiovascular disease and certain cancers. Duh. Straight yogurt and granola. This can be a good breakfast if you don't get really high processed yogurt with all the sugar in it and basically try to get something that's organic. They said many of these common yogurts are loaded up with added sugar.
Yeah, you got to use stevia in yogurt.
Yeah, if you get some Greek yogurt, organic Greek yogurt with some organic granola, add some stevia or monk fruit, that's a fairly decent breakfast. Said one on here is oatmeal. Now, oatmeal with eggs.
Glyphosate, buddy. It's got glyphosate.
Well, yeah.
You got to go organic.
You got to go full organic on it. You're right. Because the problem is, remember, oatmeal, the biggest issue with oatmeal is that there's not really a general glyphosate Roundup Ready oatmeal. They spray it on there on a lot of them as a desiccant to dry it out to get a better yield. So a lot of oatmeal's contaminated.
Same thing with wheat.
Yeah, but as far as if you can get organic clean oatmeal with eggs in the morning, that's probably one of the best stabilizing blood sugar meals you can have if you need some carbohydrates in the morning with eggs.
You can sweeten that oatmeal with a little stevia.
Or monk fruit. I usually use monk fruit on it. Yeah, monk fruit's my staple. We sell it at the office. You guys want it. I mean, we
don't make any money on it.
There's no money to be made on it. I just sell it for everybody that wants it. I mean, it's expensive stuff because it's real clean, pure monk fruit, but it's really good on Oatmeal. I've used it a lot more. So these are a lot of the common breakfast mistakes, a way to tweak them and stay away from them. But it's funny, the first one on the list says stay away from is cereal and orange juice breakfast.
Oh, my gosh. My sugar dumps so fast, I can go take a nap in 3 minutes.
It says right here, the results are rapid rise in blood sugar followed by an energy slump later on in the morning.
It's not even enough. That's 10 minutes to me. I'm taking a nap.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're wanting to get an insulin spike, gain some fat, and go back to bed in the morning,
there you go.
There you go. So I guess that's it with it. So yeah, that's my idea.
I remember years ago, I was up in WGN, and I, just in Chicago. And I've told you the story before, but I'll tell you the side effect of it. And I was talking about the top 10 foods to never eat. It's back in the 90s. And this is the number one farm forecaster station back then in the world as far as pork belly futures and all that. And I told them all, right on the show, don't eat pork. Oh, boy. It's a pork produced. This is Chicago. This is Illinois. It's Iowa, right? And oh my gosh, the farm forecaster guy he literally comes to the studio. We literally almost got into a fight. It was crazy.
Yeah, did he come busting in there?
Well, he came in banging on the door, and they saw who it was, and they let him in. He grabbed the live mic and started yelling at me. He told me that I had single-handedly destroyed pork sales in the United States.
What'd you do?
I told him not to eat pork. I didn't destroy anything. Nothing changed.
That's a you problem, brother. It's not a me problem.
Yeah. And then so we got this giant argument. I said, look, if you want kids to die of heart disease, diabetes, and cancer, I said, you knock yourself out. I'm not changing what I said.
Y'all went back and forth on live air?
No, it was live. And then I said, don't you know that if a kid eats 3 hot dogs a week, they have 9 times the risk of leukemia? Yes. Yeah. How about that? Why don't you choke on that one, big buckwheat? And boy, oh my God. We were standing up looking at each other. He thought he was going to stand up and intimidate me. Let me explain something to you. Now, if you're 7 feet tall and you weigh about 500 pounds, and they call you Andre the Giant, and you've got a head about that big around, and you stand up and you start yelling at me, if I don't have my gun with me, you're probably going to intimidate me. That's a fact. I mean, if you're not, you're crazy. That's why I like that story about David and Goliath, because this giant, says to David, "I'll feed I'll feed you to the birds of the air, the flocks of the air, blah blah blah." David goes, "Yeah, I don't think so." Picks up the rocks, knocks him out, cuts his head off. Okay, I love that story, but I ain't David. Okay, so if a 7 foot, 8 foot tall guy decides to jump on me, there's a reason they have weight classes in wrestling. Now, if I had a 50 caliber Barrett, I would probably be okay with that.
50 caliber Barrett for that.
I mean, at that point in time, it could have been a grizzly bear. It would have made a bit of difference.
7.62 will suffice just fine on that.
But the thing about it is, he tried to intimidate me. I'm like, I don't think so, bud. And so we're literally standing up at the table like this, screaming at each other, because he thought he was going to stand up over me, grab my mic, and start yelling at me. I just stood up on him, and it was so funny. We were doing Eat, Drink, and Be Healthy back then. I called my phone room and I said, now, the show got kind of messed up. They said, "What did you do? Did you almost get in a fight in the studio? These boys in South Side of Chicago love you." They said, "If you're willing to fight over what you believe, you got to be telling the truth." And see, that's the thing, is that people don't realize that when you believe something that strongly, you're going to stand for it. You're going to stand for the truth.
Well, that's the old Sam Colt quote, wasn't it? God made some men tall and some men short. Sam Colt made all men equal.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's
45.
With the 45 repeating pistol revolver, that changed the entire game of fighting back then. No longer this, I got one shot. Well, you better be a darn good shot with a musket or a flintlock. You had one chance to make it happen.
Well,
that was it.
And if you got 20 guys coming, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble. All of a sudden, you got a repeating pistol with Clint Eastwood and Outlaw Josie Wales. Yeah. I mean, he's racked. He's got like 6, 7 pistols on him all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Forget reloading. You just go down this next pistol.
I love that.
Great movie.
I watched it the other night. Oh, by the way, Arsenal hockey, heaven forbid, sorry, soccer. Arsenal star becomes the second player to be sent off at the World Cup for covering his mouth.
What?
As Ecuador were knocked out of the last 32 stage by Mexico. Peter Hincapie's impressive season for club and the country ended in a sour note on Tuesday as he was sent off during Ecuador's World Cup exit. The Arsenal defender, who helped them end their 22-year wait for the Premier League title this season, became the second player to be sent off at the World Cup by covering his mouth when talking to an opponent. Guess he has something nice to say. I'm going to say something really cute to you. You're going to like this. But I don't want anybody else to hear it. Okay. The Arsenal defender, the incident occurred during the second half stoppage of the Ecuador's 2-0 defeat by co-host Mexico in the last 32. And the third minute of the 7th stoppage time immediately is okay. I'm going to stop here. I'm getting bored with this article. But the funny thing about it is that I remember years ago, it was Jimbo Fisher was doing his thing, and we were playing Auburn. Austin was there, and he wasn't covering his mouth calling plays. And they had a doggone lip reader on the other side of the field.
Yeah, they did. Calling the plays.
Calling the plays. And the guy who's our defensive coordinator from the year before at Florida State knew the plays, and he was telling the guys on the field. And then one of our guys comes up to Jimbo Fisher and says, "They're calling our plays from their sideline." And they were way ahead of us.
We couldn't move the ball. I mean, we would snap, and it was like they knew exactly what we were running.
They did exactly what we were doing. And then all of a sudden, Jimbo Fisher started doing this. He had a microphone.
A towel.
That
one guy had a doggone towels walking around. Every time he started talking, he put a towel in front of him.
And all of a sudden, guess what? We came back and won that game.
Well, we weren't supposed to win.
Where there wasn't one Florida State memorabilia item there.
Not a single hat, not a single hoodie, not a single shirt.
There were literally hundreds of tents set up selling.
I went to a lot of them.
And we went to a bunch of them. Not one Florida State had won everything Auburn had won. Just thought I'd mention that for those of you who like to bet on college and NFL
that was
football.
Always nobody believes me, and I'm like, I was there.
I was there. We were there.
And it wasn't like there was no memorabilia, right? Like either side, you got to order them as a pre-order. Here's photos of them. No. Every single little kiosk was loaded with Auburn National Championship.
And they weren't allowed to sell it.
Shirts, hats, hoodies. They couldn't sell it. They were all taking it down. Physical inventory, none. No Florida State. Not a single T-shirt, hat to be had.
You know, it's so funny. So we could actually testify in evidence against this. That makes us like,
What's funny is nobody else brought it up.
No one else.
We're the ones that ever brought that up.
We were there.
As I've seen before where they'll have like photos of like a T-shirt, blah, 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 and you order it because they don't have anything printed. I've never seen that before.
I would have liked to have had a hat and a sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Nothing. And that was interesting. And then it was the next year that Jameis Winston was charged for rigging games with his friends. Oh, yeah, he was accused of that.
Bookies in Vegas.
Now, he didn't basically get indicted for that, but it was interesting. But
nutrition, exercise. Better than drugs for managing obesity in kids and teens.
Imagine that. Now, Kennedy's bringing back the presidential physical fitness test.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I need to.
And why he's doing pull-ups.
20 pull-ups, dude.
I can't do 20 pull-ups.
Yeah.
I had this so funny. I had a video of him doing 20 pull-ups, right? He's in the 70s. Now, he's on HRTs. We got that. Okay, I don't care.
He still did 20 pull-ups.
No, he did 20 pull-ups, okay?
Wait, he's what, 60, 70?
He's in his 70s.
Yeah.
With the peak of whatever I did, I could do 25. That was it.
I could still run around 20, but he's twice my age.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
Well, but no, and so I sent this video. Oh, he didn't get his chin over the bar every time. And I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Dude, you can't do a single pull-up. Why are you? No.
You can't even do a push-up. Shut up, dude.
Oh, my God.
Get out of here. It's always the armchair quarterbacks that always have the
No, I got
opinions.
more of those responses than I have, hey, this guy's doing great. No, I mean, people were actually.
See, you know what I like? My thing is like this. All right,
That's
you know
jealousy.
what? I'm going to get a video. I'm going to compete against him on this. I'm going to see if I can get 21 pull-ups. There you go.
Let's post it.
That's called being a man. When I was 18, it was enlisted Parris Island Marine Corps. I could do 25. You're not 18 anymore. You're not doing 25. So show me how you could do right now. Anyways, nutrition, exercise better than drugs for managing obesity in kids. They said a rapid rise in GLP-1 drug prescriptions for children and teens now.
Unbelievable.
It is becoming, unfortunately, one of the number one weight loss drugs for children now.
The side effects are unbelievable.
I mean, you got to remember what a drug does to an adult and what a drug does to a child are two very different
With the
things.
developing brain.
With the developing brain, developing organs. Thyroid, all these different organs are growing, they're changing. You know what I mean? They're talking about putting kids of 9 and 10 years old on GL1Ps. 8 and 9 years old, guys. If a child is so obese they have to go on diabetic weight loss medication to lose weight, you should probably evaluate exactly what they're eating. Let's look at it. They said the author cautioned this conclusion is that essentially we really need to start addressing what's actually happening as far as from the purple stick. Oh, man. It says the analysts also found combining lifestyle treatment with diet saw significant increase. Listen here, the analysis was published last week. Adolescents who received structured behavior and lifestyle interventions without medication saw significant reductions in BMI and improvements in body composition compared with control groups. Oh, my gosh. So you stop feeding them goy slop and you start having them exercise and be active, and their body fat went down, their BMI got better, their energy came up, their focus got better, their health got better. I mean, wow, this is revolutionary. So you're telling me that being active and eating good food is good for your body. It's just mind-boggling. How did this information come about? Oh, by the way, I'm on YouTube. I logged in over here for you guys. Good morning to everybody. I saw Tom Jones on there and Rick on there. I hadn't seen a lot of traffic on the site today as far as for YouTube, but I just got in there. So, hey, guys. And but anyways, back to the story with that. As I was pulling that up, this is something to really address. You know, last night, I had a real good friend of mine come over. He's got his son with him. Son's getting in good shape, too. He's starting to do pull-ups, push-ups with Hunter. And, you know, they both brought their Nerf guns over, and they were having a little simulated Nerf war with us last night. They had a blast. And we were talking about it, and I said, you do understand, like, how rare this is now for our kids. Like, they came over, not a single iPad in sight, not a cell phone in sight, for hours. I mean, they came over like 5, 6 o'clock last night. They leave like midnight. You know, they're outside the whole time. They're building a simulated bunker, compound. And it was funny. It was fun. I had a good time with that. I had a blast with the kids when we go do that. But I told them, I said, this is a rarity now, dude. I said, majority of kids, they don't even know how to interact with other children unless it's through some digital media. I said, I can't tell you how many times I've gone out to restaurants now and kids are sitting there and they got an iPad shoved in their face the entire time, drooling on themselves. They're just unfunctional. And so, again, my friends, look at the diet, look at the lifestyle, look at the exercise. Kids, especially young kids, are not designed to sit in a couch all day and sit in a room. This is one of the reasons I have such a problem with the standard education program now. You're not teaching children. Lined up. You're not teaching children how to be young men, how to grow, how to be strong, how to be entrepreneurs, how to be useful, how to have cognitive reasoning skills. It's all about following the exact book, exact template, exact box that they tell you that's built by communists, and that's all they teach them in school. They don't teach them critical thinking. They teach them how to follow and regurgitate the BS that they feed them. And so...
I got a comment to make on that.
Yeah.
I completely and totally, middle camera, agree with him. He's right. Cameron, no, the other one, Rich. Here's the real problem I have, and it's not the fact that I dislike doctors.
Yeah.
And that's my own profession. But I really dislike the doctors who don't have critical thinking skills.
That's a fact.
Now listen to me for a second. A person comes in and they've got, some type of ulcer, and they put them on a drug that causes leukemia. Or they put them on a drug that causes heart failure. They put them on a drug for anything else, and then they cause massive weight gain. And the person comes back to the doctor and says, "I've got massive weight gain. What are you? Something wrong with you? Are you that arrogant that you care about what you look like? I'm trying to save your life. It doesn't cause weight gain." And you're going, "But I'm gained 25 pounds in 2 weeks. This is not okay." Well, it doesn't do that. It's something else. Well, then you look it up online, and one of the side effects is massive weight gain. But you see that with prednisone all the time. And you're like, I don't know what happened. I've gained 100 pounds. It wasn't anything to do with the drug. And you're like, but it says it does this. No, it does not. And they gaslight you. And here's why they gaslight you, because they don't know and they don't care. Now, I'm going to say something. This is important that you understand that. The vast majority of medical doctors, not all of them, some of them are great people and they really care about their patients. The vast majority of them, they don't give a crap about you.
No.
Now you think, you can't say that. Okay, let me say it this way. The vast majority of doctors don't give a crap about you. Now, is that better? Was that a little easier to get? They don't care. They've got 40 patients a day. They got 5 minutes to spend with all of them. They're exhausted mentally. They can't get involved with you mentally because they're going to have to deal with that from a psychological standpoint. So to them, you're just another product that they're having to produce to make sure they get their salaries and their paychecks from the group they're working for. That's all this is. They're not your friend. The vast majority of them, they're not. They don't want to be your friend. Very rarely does the doctor become your friend. And I told that with Austin when he was younger. He's like 8, 9, 10 years old. And I said, you don't understand. They don't care. Most people don't care about you. Yes, they do. And now he realizes they really don't. So when you have a doctor that will actually internalize you and say, hey, let's look this up on the physician's desk reference together. Let's find out what the side effects is. Let's find out if we have different alternatives to this. Instead of just punching this thing into you and saying, oh, by the way, you might get leukemia, but it's all right. It's worth that because you may die from leukemia in a couple of years. You may die from this now. You got an ulcer. Here's a really strange one. Have you ever heard of cabbage juice?
Yeah, there you go. Fresh cabbage juice.
And you look at me kind of funny now, like a calf at a new gate. You go, are you saying that cabbage juice will cure ulcer? No, I never said that. But a lot of other people have said that. I'm not making any claims here.
I've never heard a doctor bring that up.
Not once.
And you know how many times I've used it personally? I've had a lot of people I know use it. Tastes awful. Ugh.
It has to be fresh. You have to squeeze it fresh like 6 times a day, about 3 ounces 6 times a day. It's unbelievably inexpensive. Organic cabbage. You run it through the juicer, and suddenly your body heals itself within about 3 or 4 days. And
I've heard that 3 or 4 days. Not making any claims, but seems to be a common trend.
Something I read online one time. And the crazy part about it is, why does the doctor say, why don't we get you on some fresh cabbage juice for a few weeks?
Oh, no, you need to be a proton pump inhibitor. And then we got to change down a couple months. You need to stay on it for life.
And so then all of a sudden you come down with leukemia, which is one of the side effects of a particular drug I'm talking about. Well, it's worth it because we cured your ulcer. Now you have leukemia. Now we give you another drug for that.
Exactly right.
And now remember, they're part of remember these doctors, and forgive me if you're a doctor because you know I'm telling the truth, and I'm not talking about you because you're listening to this show and you'd not listen to this show if you were that doctor. The doctors get paid by, getting golf clubs or getting sent on vacation to Hawaii for a week or 2 weeks. And then they get paid, all expense paid vacation. It's $40,000, $50,000 vacation. Super expensive, $3,000, $2,000 a night room, suite. It depends on how many prescriptions they've written. They get golf clubs. They get all kinds of things. They get first class airfare, all of this stuff. Happens every year. So every year they go on another vacation, or maybe something twice a year, depending on who they're working with or for. And then if they really are doing good work and they keep a 99 percentile, whatever, giving children the MMR shots, and then all of a sudden they get another $500,000 a year in bonuses. Let me say something to you. That's a $10,000 a week incentive. That's $2,000 a day extra. Now think about that.
Yeah, that adds up.
It's $2,000 a day. Okay, it's $10,000 a week. Okay, times 50 weeks, $500,000. So I'm going to make an extra $2,000 a week if I inject you. So if you come into my clinic and you don't want the shot, get out.
Had it happen to my own child.
Got to get out. Got to go.
Personally, we will not see you again if you do not get all updated shots immediately. Could you please show me the references in the clinical trials where giving a child between anywhere 7 and 8 injections at one time has any safety efficacy at all? Not the point.
Get out.
That's a requirement. You get the shot or you get out of my office. You're not allowed in here. You're risking everyone's lives.
You're a vaccine denier. Well, let me tell you something. And I know this is going to sound weird. I don't usually say this kind of stuff. I spent 400 hours in the biochemical genetics lab at Florida State. I know what vaccines do. I know what a clean vaccine is. I know what an unclean vaccine is. I know what a vaccine is full of adjuvants. I know what all this stuff does. I wrote a book on this. And so when I tell you that you better be careful with the stuff you inject in your kids and that you inject in yourself, and you better, before you take any drug at all, if somebody gives you a prescription, you go look it up and you put the drug in there and you say, toxic side effects. Google it. And most of the time you get an earful, including this one drug I'm talking about with leukemia and all kinds of heart conditions and death. I mean, so you're thinking to yourself, well, I got an ulcer. Do I want to get leukemia? Isn't there another way to treat this? No! You listen to me, you get out. And I'm like, I don't think I'm listening to you. I think I'm going to get out. And that's the problem with the Medicare and the programs that you have these doctors that are not being paid. A lot of them, most of them are from India. They don't really speak English. And you're kind of doing hand signals with them, and you really can't communicate with them. And when you think, well, where do these people come from? You say, well, what kind of medical school do they go to? Well, I hate to say it, in some cases, the people from other countries are better doctors than we have here because they're trained by the Rockefeller Rothschild Industrial Medical Complex. Remember, these guys try to intentionally put chiropractic out of business, homeopathic medicine out of business, naturopathic medicine out of business. Everything, they want to put everybody out because they didn't want anybody to compete with them, and they didn't want to use the petrochemical industry to manufacture drugs so they can monopolize that and get money from everybody. Years ago, I remember there was a thing in the Financial Times, and I had the clip for years. I used to read it at seminars, and it was talking about they wanted to make diabetes, they want to make cancer like diabetes, where it would be a long-term, lifelong thing they could treat, massively increase the profits for the corporations because they had a fiduciary responsibility to maximize profits. It didn't say anything about curing anything. They want to make it a long-term disease that they could basically keep you alive as long as possible, get you to take as many drugs as they possibly can. We have a new clinical trial coming up. Let's try you on that one. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Let's see what we can do. Oh, by the way, you're almost dead now. We didn't send you to hospice.
Gosh.
No, I just had it happen to a friend of mine. And I get so fed up with it. I could give you dozens and dozens and dozens of examples of exactly what they've done that I've seen in my own personal life to friends and patients. And the sad part about it is nobody seems to care. No. They don't seem to care. Iatrogenic disease kills almost 1 million people a year in the United States. That number, I have to verify that number, but I'll look it up in a second. But it kills, I know, hundreds of thousands of people a year. That means doctor-induced error that causes death. Unbelievable.
I had a friend of mine in Orlando. He asked me to look up this prescription they had given him. It was a NSAID painkiller, right? Mm-hmm. He asked me to send me the other day. And so it's in the same category as like ibuprofen. So it's non-narcotic, so it's not addictive. And he goes, is this stuff, it's basically Toradol or ketorolac. I pulled it up. Potent non-narcotic NSAID used for short-term, treat moderate and severe pain. Okay. It says, however, it carries serious risk of gastrointestinal and kidney damage. It cannot be used longer than 5 days. 5 days? 5 days, or you're going to have severe kidney damage and gastrointestinal bleeding? Look at the side effects with a lot of this stuff. And I pulled it up. It says significantly increases the risk of stomach bleeding, ulcers. People with any history of ulcers or kidney disease or heart disease should not take this product. He had a back pain. He had an issue with his back that was hurting. They gave him a prescription for this for like 2 weeks. And I looked at it. I said, brother, you take this stuff. You better be very careful with it. I said, I'd highly recommend you not. I know you got back pain right now. I said, but I'm not giving you medical advice. I said, but it's saying here, maximum 5 days ever. This guy just gave you a 2-week prescription for it. You do it as you want. It says it's a prescription-strength, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug that provides pain relief care comparable to some opioid medications like morphine, but has no risk of addiction or dependence. But it causes your gut to start bleeding, your kidneys to start failing after 5 days. I mean, so again, I'm not bringing this up to pick on this specific compound because you might need it for something specifically for a short period of time. What I'm saying is understand a lot of these pharmaceutical drugs in many cases have severe side effects, worse than they're even helping out with. And a lot of times, I'm not going to claim this, but in my opinion, I think a lot of these drugs are designed to get people to stay on other drugs and keep taking more other drugs because the side effects they have to take for the keep going. That's why you talk to somebody that's on prescription drugs. It's rare that they're on one drug. Rare.
251,000 deaths a year in the United States from doctor error. Iatrogenic disease.
251,000? Mm-hmm. That's a quarter of a million.
Yeah. But now I was quoting global statistics as far as over a million.
That's just in the U.S.
Just in the United States, 251,000.
Quarter of a million people.
Yeah. In the 2016 British Medical Journal editorial estimated medical error was the third leading cause of death in the United States.
Jeez. The third. What's the first two?
Probably heart disease and cancer, I would think.
Yeah.
Or diabetes. Well, I'll look that up too now.
Gosh, quarter of a million. So, again, my friends, take it as it is, which you need the medical industrial complex. It's great for certain things. It's always there. We have a great system.
Trauma care is amazing.
Trauma care. I mean, I've blown ankles out. I had a knee surgery, ankle surgery, wrist broken. Raced motocross for a while. I've been a little abused of my body when I was younger with the racing. However, we got great trauma care in the United States. So use that for what it is, but be very cautious on these drugs and be very cautious when doctors start telling you, you've got to take this injection right now. Your children have to take this injection. It's a pandemic of the unvaccinated. I remember when they were saying that crap on TV. So stupid. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah, I was right. Heart disease and cancer.
Was it?
Yeah, and then the third is the iatrogenic disease.
That's crazy, though.
Number 4 is accidents.
Yeah.
Okay? Number 5 is stroke. 6 is chronic lower respiratory diseases. 5 is Alzheimer's, then diabetes. But number 3. Yeah, number 3 is doctor-induced disease, death. Yeah, so choke that one down for a while.
Gosh,
that's why don't if you've got a serious issue with something that you got to do a drug for, and someone wants to give you something that you've got serious side effects, go to the doctor and don't tell them the first diagnosis. That's the important thing that you don't do because they all kind of stick together.
Well, that's why I said
let them make up their own mind.
Look up the side effects. My buddy sent me this, and it's basically a strong NSAID, and it says don't take for more than 4 or 5 days because it causes gastrointestinal bleeding, kidney damage. By the way, you get ulcers, you get esophageal erosion. That's how you end up getting stuff like pericarditis. You get bacteria in your blood, and you get inflammatory responses, including the heart, if it gets a pericardial sac. The ulcers and gastrointestinal bleeding can be unbelievably dangerous.
They can be.
Unbelievably dangerous. So be cautious of this stuff when you start having doctors peddle this stuff out. Oh, by the way, here's a 2-week prescription. But it even says on the bottle, don't take longer than 5 days because it's going to blow your kidneys out and it's going to cause gut bleeding.
Oh, by the way, the United States of America, Trump-inspired fighter, singer John Conn, Nashville hitmaker Michael Farron released a patriotic anthem ahead of America's 250. Now, I read the article. I read this. Really pretty song. I got it. Watch Wag the Dog.
There you go.
Now, listen to me. This is important. You've got to watch the movie Wag the Dog. They have their own national anthem for the guy named Shoe. This old Shoe, new Shoe, whatever Shoe. They actually sing a song to this guy, Woody Harrelson, remember? And the guy's a nutbag. He's a bleeding total psychotic. They think that he's this big hero now. And he comes out, and first he wants to do is rape somebody. And they end up shooting him and killing him. And they have to have a funeral for him, and he's a hero. And they have to, everything's spun. They twist it all constantly. It's one of the best movies I've ever watched in my entire life as far as from a realistic standpoint of how they basically do whatever they want to do with the media. Wag the Dog with Dustin Hoffman. So when I see this and I watch these two old timers sitting here putting this song together, I think to myself, wag the dog, wag the dog, wag the dog, wag the dog. Because they want you to believe the mythos of what this whole thing's about. They want you to believe this 21 ring circus is all real. We live in a holographic projection from the sixth dimension. I've done shows on that. Don't freak out on what I just said. This whole planet is just a doggone illusion, and we can control this illusion by the words that we speak and by the prayers that we pray and by the scalar energy fields that we release. You think, well, it's the only reality we know. I got it. This is all we got. This is our reality. And so we have to do the best we possibly can to make sure that we understand who we are and what we are through Christ. That's the most important thing. And always remember, we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. That's the key. But the reality is this: don't let them mess with your brain. This is exactly Wag the Dog. I mean, it's perfect. It's exactly what they did in the movie. And it shows you how much they manipulate your thought patterns, and your belief structure and your belief systems. Watch the movie. You get it for free on YouTube. It's a free movie. Just put it on. Watch it tonight instead of playing with Netflix and that more queer stuff. Just stay away from that mess. Watch Wag the Dog. I'm going to say it. That's like the fifth time I've said it now. I know I'm being repetitive. And I got that. It's that important that you watch it, then read the article I just posted on this, and you're going to laugh like I did this morning. What's your next story, Austin?
Karen Rogers said, great movie, Dustin Hoffman.
Love Karen.
Here you guys go.
Best Karen I know.
Everybody's
wonderful lady, good friend.
You guys are bringing up SV40. Oh, gosh. I'm not even going to go there today.
Well, no, the SV40 was put into the COVID vaccine basically as an immune suppressant. It was also used back with the tuberculosis and all the other stuff they gave us back in the polio vaccines back in the 60s. And what it does is an immune suppressant. It came from cancerous kidney cells from monkeys, and it massively increases the risk of breast, bone, and brain cancer. And that's why so many of the baby boomers are dying of these types of diseases now, because they were put this stuff was put into them when they were children. And now they also use that again in the COVID vaccine as the immune suppressant. This is just look it up, Simeon 40. Do your own research on it.
Yeah, well, and that's why I always tell people, before you start allowing, a pediatrician, just give them just my opinion, before you allow a pediatrician to start going ham and start coming out with hypodermic needles, start sticking a child like a pincushion, I want you to look up the side effects of all the 7 shots they're going to give a 6-month-old in one setting. Just curious. At what point in life is that child ever going to be exposed to all of those viruses all at the exact same time? It's statistically impossible. It's never happened.
No, it doesn't.
It's never happened. And they're saying, but their immune system can handle it. No, it can't. It has a massive overload. That's why we have what's called a cytokine storm. The body goes in full inflammatory mode. That's why we never had a major issue with what's called SIDS, which actually had to get a name for it, sudden infant death syndrome, until after the 1986 shot schedule, the 1986 Vaccine Manufacturer Protection Act came in, and the shot schedule came out. SIDS was like this rarity. If a child just died, they couldn't figure it out. Autopsy, no idea whether the child died. It was rarity. All of a sudden, they had to come up with a name for it after the shots came out. Look it up.
Read the book Confessions of a Medical Heretic by Dr. Mendelsohn. Great book, great man, died very young, very suspiciously. By the way, Mr. O'Neill testified before Congress, and he said that both Jack Ruby, and Charles Manson were likely CIA assets.
I believe that.
A lot of stuff that happened, especially, you remember they started having all these singers start dying at the age of 27, like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, all these other ones, and they tell the 27-year-old curse. A lot of that stuff is done to manipulate you and your brain and how you think. It really is. So be very careful when you start looking at what the CIA has done, especially with the MK Ultra program, because they lied before Congress about that. And Representative Tim Burkett said that the CIA actually lied before Congress about the MK Ultra programs, and they were actually exposed for what they were doing. By the way, the MK Ultra program, and I don't like to say it, but it's true, the mind control program, with control spelled with a C, the vast majority of the doctors that did the MK Ultra were German scientists from Operation Paperclip. Embarrassing for me. And MK, you spell control in German with a K. That's why it was MK. Just thought I'd mention that. So the Operation Paperclip doctors came over here and decided to start doing experimentation on humans. It was a real mess. And doing psychological experiments, doing all kinds of drug experiments on them. It was horrible. By the way, Trump's own Supreme Court pick has voted against him now to allow this whole thing with birthright citizenship to continue.
Wow.
Trump's own Supreme Court pick did this. Unbelievable. This has actually happened. Amy Coney Barrett, which I never liked. There was something about her that was wrong. She's saying that the people still have a right to birthright citizenship if they're born here. So if you have somebody come across the border at 8 or 9 months or even 5 months, a lot of times they do it at 5 months because they can't be spotted as being pregnant. And they sneak over and have the baby here. Now that baby's an American citizen. And they were going to have to give Trump credit for they tried to stop it. But Amy Coney Barrett basically said, no, we're not going to let them do this. So they have a meme of her posted now with purple hair like a liberal, with nose rings. Okay, now I'm going to show you this. This is pretty disgusting. Now I don't like to show pictures like this on the air, but let me say something let me show you this. If this is what you look like,
gosh.
no, this is not how she looks. Okay, but this is how they depicted her now. Okay, now you see this nose rings. Piercings all over her face, purple hair. Okay. Now I'm going to say something to you very quickly. If this is you, I got to close that. I can't look at it. If that's you, and you're in a dating pool, and, you got to do the nose rings, and you got to do the tongue rings, and the lip rings, and you got piercings all over your face. The type of guy that you're going to attract on that is not somebody you're probably going to want to be with the rest of your life.
Maybe it is.
Well, no. If he's covered in piercings and his hair is all pink or whatever, you're going to like him, okay? But this is a typical version of what the liberal female looks like that wear vagina hats at the seminars and at the rallies that I went to years ago. When you see them, you think, well, I'm not going to say that again. You have to play that one backwards. But I've seen it. And you're thinking to yourself, you're kidding, right? No, I'm not kidding. And this is the dating pool for most guys that are single. That's why nobody wants to go out with them. That's why they become man haters. They get unbelievably bitter. I'm going to stop there. But I cannot believe that they were about to get rid of this mess about having babies here as an anchor baby and staying here.
Stupid.
And now we have to deal with that again.
Anyways, I got one last story. This is kind of funny, but it's not funny. It says drone strikes JetBlue plane on final approach to JFK. Did you see this? They were coming in a final approach at 3,000 feet and basically struck a drone. Said on the comms, he said, just quickly, I couldn't talk to approach. We just collided with a drone back in the turn, pilot said. Air traffic said, you said you collided? Pilot said, yes. It hit us right above the cockpit. According to the crew, the drone struck the aircraft just above the cockpit, approximately 3,000 feet at 7:15 a.m. on final approach into JFK.
Now, here's the problem with that. Number one, nobody was hurt. So that's okay. But listen to me for a second. If that drone had gone into one of the engines,
that's what I was just about to say.
And they could have shut down one of the engines. It's probably a dual engine plane. That'd have been a problem. Now the pilot should have been able to handle that because with
3,000 feet.
But 3,000 feet, he's an approach.
Yeah.
He'd be okay. But if he's a good pilot, here's the problem though. If he had been, if he at 3,000 feet, you're already decompressed. It doesn't really make a whole lot of difference at that level. But the problem with all of this stuff now, that's a major damage into that plane. That's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I'm sure. Well, they said there was no major damage to aircraft, but I guarantee
it doesn't make any difference.
They're going to have to do a full inspection.
No, it's going to be hundreds.
Because it was an incident. But now my question is this though. How in the world was there a drone operating above JFKs? Usually they have barriers on those now, don't they? Digital barriers. No, they'll stop them at walls, digital walls.
No, they don't have that. They can bypass all that stuff. And the problem is you get these little guys. It probably was an 8-year-old. You don't know who it was, right? But the point is, it's just that you got to be real careful. I remember one time we flew a kite at an airport. In Haven when I was a little kid. No, we didn't fencing. We didn't know any better. I was 10 years old, flying a kite. It was great. Big open field. It was great. No tree. All of a sudden, the security shows up with a truck. Yeah. So what are you guys doing? That could hit a propeller and wrap around the propeller and cause an engine failure.
Well, I've told people this. If you get your kids drones, please be cautious of where they operate them. Drones are a lot more dangerous than people depict them as, especially if you're around airports.
Including
you got
kites.
Helicopters, you got planes, including kites.
Well, no, within a few weeks, they had an 8-foot fence around there.
Just for you.
No, it's still up there. It's the same old fence. It's still there. It was for me.
My friends,
okay.
Thanks for being on the show today. I saw a bunch of chat in the YouTube. A bunch of stuff going on in there. I'll read some of that in a little bit. Thank you guys for the support. Ultimate Powder will be going on sale later on this afternoon. Be sure to stay up to date on all the specials and sales we have going on right now at healthmasters.com. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the positive emails. We'll talk to you again on this show tomorrow as always.
Love you guys. Appreciate you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your prayers. And thanks for putting up with us. A couple of rednecks with a transmitter down here. You guys are amazing. Love you. And keep your hearts and minds in Christ all the days of your life. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.